1,000 years ago, everyone knew, I'm paraphrasing, that the earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew you were alone in the universe. Imagine what you will know tomorrow. We only use 10% of our brains. What's to say that the other 90% would not somehow ascertain the information that there is sentient life out there?
And my motto, you know my motto in life, my motto is, if you consider yourself a truth seeker, any and everything has to be a possibility if you're looking for the truth.
When we set out to do a documentary on controversial beliefs, we expected those beliefs to also be most privately held. That was not the case.
Unless you want me to be like, yo, 9/11 did not happen.
Yeah, exactly what they want you to do.
Alright, fine. Like, you go first.
Alright, I believe 9/11 was an inside job because, as people know, jet fuel can't melt steel beams, and the fact that one of the planes went down mysteriously in the field in Pennsylvania is a little fishy as well. So I'm one of the 9/11 conspiracy theorists, I guess, but I think there's enough proof to prove it.
The craziest thing that I believe, it's definitely sports related. I believe that there are some NFL games or just general sporting events. I think in some cases they can be fixed. I think that there's evidence there to sort of swing in that direction. But I kind of half believe it. I'm kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I'm not 100% on board, but I'm not a crazy guy, I guess. So.
The 9/11 conspiracy theory. Yeah. It just looks like it's rigged, man. You go back and look at the footage and things like that. I mean, it looked like a missile hit the Pentagon instead of an airplane. There's no wing impressions, no video surveillance or anything like that. So also the trade centers looks like they were, demolition happened. So other than just you take the top off of something, the bottom doesn't fall off.
Mind control, and that is related to people like Britney Spears, Beyonce, Jay-Z, all of them. Like, you can catch videos of them just out of their mind, in interviews. Britney Spears is just went a little radical, like something is wrong.
So I do believe that the President of the United States at the time, George W. Bush, knew all about Hurricane Katrina and the tragedies that were going on with it. And I thought, personally, he didn't do enough as the leader of the free world to try to help the citizens and civilians of Louisiana.
My personal research on it, I just Googled it, and stuff sounds pretty legit. You can't believe everything, but it sounds pretty legit.
Do you think the truth's going to come out eventually?
I think the truth is out. I just think people just overlook it. They don't want to believe it.
I went to the 9/11 museum and I just was weak, and I didn't think that I was weak.
I think it could have been a conspiracy also.
I would really hate to think that it was a conspiracy. Like, I wouldn't want to think that about America.
Right.
I also kind of believe it. But
you believe it?
I don't know. My dad and me will sit and watch Bigfoot shows for hours. I don't know. I think there's
the tendency toward a conspiratorial mode of thinking about historical events is a very long and deeply ingrained human thing. It's certainly not a unique American thing or a recent thing. There's actually a small niche of historical studies of, sort of analyzing conspiracy thinking as a historical topic, just like somebody else might write about the history of banking policy or something like that. There's a long history of Americans in particular having, thinking that conspiracy was afoot and that was the explanatory factor for things. There's writing, if you go back to the revolutionary time period, some of the revolutionary leaders were, they saw the British influence in their culture in conspiratorial, framework. So that's always been there. I mean, one of the things I think too with contemporary media, of course, is that there's so much more access because of the internet. you know, the people can, regardless of the gatekeeper effect, people can generate a large following. If, you know, outside of the, you know, that's not going to be on the front page of the Washington Post, or it's not going to be on CBS Evening News, but millions of people might be reading or watching videos and stuff like that. So I think this, in some ways, would be the golden age of, you know, alternative media, conspiracy sites, stuff like that. So
I am amazed at the power of the counter-narrative, which is really Leon Festinger's cognitive dissonance in action. People try harder to maintain a lie or it's called belief perseverance in psychology. These people will stick with that irrespective of any truth that is confronted. And that plays out across the spectrum, all right? You have people who believe the conspiracy even though the evidence suggests that it is in fact false. And then you have people who don't believe the conspiracy in spite of the evidence suggesting that a conspiracy might be at work. Both of those are troubling, and both of theirs are to be credited to people like Festinger, who goes, I don't know what the human brain is doing.
I love movies and science fiction because I think that movies and science fiction are how a society tests the waters to see what people can take. You know, like I said, Dick Gregory said, movies are where the masters show us what we've done, what we're doing, and what we're about to do. So I think science fiction is the perfect testing ground to give people bits and pieces and kernels of truth and see how they respond and react. And if they respond and react, you know, unfavorably, it's just a movie. It's just fun. That's what it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, Egyptian cosmology, like we talked about, that's what made Indiana Jones so dope. Like, he was looking for the Ark of the Covenant. Well, if you look throughout history, the Ark of the Covenant comes from the Ark of the Contract. And the Ark of the Contract is where it's this contract that the Egyptians said that we had with the beings that seeded us here. Even if you read the Bible with an open mind, the Bible specifically says, let us make man in our own image. Well, who the hell is us and our? Oh, that's a mistranslation, we try to explain things away and we manipulate things to fit our schemas and to fit our perspective. The Bible is very, very clear. Let us make man in our own image. So the question is, who is us and who is our? Ezekiel's wheel. Ezekiel saw a wheel within a wheel within a wheel. What does that sound like? You know what I mean? It sounds like some sort of alien spacecraft, or he saw a wheel within a wheel within a wheel spinning in the sky. Like, what does that sound like? You know what I'm saying? He saw something. He saw some sort of craft, but we just explain things away.
Against every person at my church, I believe that there is sentient, existential life out there, and when people who are inclined to be more religious in their focus, when they hear that kind of stuff, sometimes their hair catches on fire. So I don't make a habit of running around and saying that I believe in extraterrestrial sentient life, but I genuinely do, and I don't think it's conspiratorial or out of the scientific to think that.
In regards to, are we the only things here? You know what I'm saying? Throughout history, I think that we've been given bits and pieces and kernels of truth, and the question is, do we want to acknowledge it? You know what I'm saying? The Egyptians, with the Ark of the Covenant and a lot of other things, if you look at Egyptian hieroglyphs, they have painted clear pictures of, you know, of spacecraft, of people flying in spacecraft. You know what I'm saying? How do we explain that? Carved into the side of temples. It's arrogant to believe that we are the only people that think that are alive. But I think that I hate the term conspiracy theory because it's used to instantly discredit somebody when you say the word conspiracy or conspiracy theorist. You know, I just think a theory is a theory is a theory, an idea is an idea. Don't get me wrong, I think some ideas are more sound and more valid and better than others. But again, when we're looking for the truth, to questions to answers. We're looking for answers to questions that we don't have answers to. Any and everything has to be a possibility. Like, it's about the experience. So it's the entire group bringing stuff. And the more and more people, the more and more evidence you start to see people, like, the more and more evidence we bring, people are kind of like, I don't know.
I have no idea who first said it, but the idea that history doesn't repeat itself, but when it talks, it rhymes with what was said before.